Hi, it's Carly McAvoy. Today I'm talking about solving problems, and in this one I'm talking about when you're comparing two things. So in the first one it says Yarrow had a 2x4 foot board that was 12 feet long that she cut into two pieces. One piece was twice the length of the other piece. How long were the two pieces? So when you're solving something like this, you have to decide what's actually important in this problem, and the important thing in here is not 2x4. Right, the fact that we have a 12-foot long board and we're going to cut it into two pieces is what's important. So let's declare our variables. We're going to call the first piece X. And the second piece, we don't want to ever, at this point, we don't want to start putting two different variables in there. So we're just going to call the second one, what does it say? One was twice the length of the other. So we have 2x. And if you think about the board, then it's something like we have x here and this one's 2x. And those two pieces together make up 12 feet because it was 12 feet long. So all we have to do is say x plus 2x equals 12 and 3x equals 12. And then to get rid of that 3, we divide both sides by 3 and get x equals 4. 4 was our first piece. So our first piece is 4 feet long. So what about our second piece? Well, our second piece is 4 times 2 because we said it was twice as long. So that's 8. So our second piece is 8 feet long. And then this is my answer right here. And I want to make sure that my final answer adds up to 12 feet because I want those two parts to make up that total board. And it does. Okay, second problem. According to Time magazine, the combined average salary for men and women doctors was $565,000. I think that was in 2019. If men make an average of $51,000 more than women, what's the average pay for men and women? So what I know is that we're going to set up an equation where we have the average pay for men plus the average pay for women equaling that $565,000. But the problem is I don't want two different variables, and I certainly don't want all these words in there. So instead of doing that, I'm going to say let the average pay for women and the average pay for men be our variables. I could do a little more specific, like the average dollars that women make and the average dollars men make. But those are my two unknowns that I'm trying to figure out. And then I read this. It says men make an average of $51,000 more than women. So my base variable is going to be women because men are based on that. So I'm going to call women W, and I'm not going to call men M, or else that gives me two variables and makes this more complicated. Instead, I'm going to say men are whatever women get plus that $51,000 more. So now I can go back and I can say where I said average for the men, I'm going to replace that with W plus 51,000. And for the average for the women, I'm going to replace that with W. So a really common thing is for people to put like W plus 51,000 and not put the W in again. Remember, you have to represent both items, whatever you're dealing with here. And so 2W, because W plus W is 2W, plus 51,000. And then you're going to subtract 51,000 from both sides. So if you can do that in your head, that'd be awesome, and I have no problem with that. I'm going to do this one on the calculator really fast just because then I want to divide in there easily. 565,000 divided by, no, that was supposed to be subtract, sorry, minus, sometimes you make mistakes, don't give up. That gives me 514,000, which I could have seen, but then I just wanted to be able to divide that by 2 without having to go back in, and that gives me 257,000. Why did I divide by 2? Because I had to get rid of the 2 over here, so I have to do the same thing on the right hand side. And now you should ask yourself, what is 257,000? Well, it's W, and we said W was going to be what women make. So that means that the average pay for women is, I'll write it down here, women's average is $257,000, which is a good pay, but it's not that fair considering that they're working in the same job, right? So that's not too cool. But how do we get what the men's pay is? Well, it's whatever women's was plus $51,000. So I can come back to this and say plus 51,000, and that gives me 308,000. This is my answer, but again, what I can always do is make a quick, add these up really quick and make sure they actually add up to that number that we started with. Okay, then the last one on this video is Claire biked 14 miles less than twice as far as Joseph, and they biked 79 miles altogether. How far did each of them bike? Not really sure why I felt the need to put these little clip art bikes on here, but what we're talking about is Claire's mileage plus Joseph's mileage equaling 79. That's how far they did all together. So this is going to be Joseph's miles biked, and this will be Claire's miles biked. That's my unknowns, and it says that Claire biked 14 less than twice as far as Joseph. So Claire's is based on Joseph. So I'm going to say Joseph is J. Be careful with the J. Sometimes it ends up looking like an S or a 5 or weird stuff. So just be careful when you use that as a variable. What's Claire? I don't want to use a new variable, so she is 14 less than twice what Joseph did. So you should be able to see that 2 times J would be twice what Joseph did, and then we're going to take away 14 because she did 14 less than twice what Joseph did. So coming over here for Claire, we're going to put in 2J minus 14, and then plus what Joseph's was, which we just called J, and that equals 79. Solving that, we have 2 plus 1 is 3J, and then we're going to add 14 to both sides, and 3J equals 93. And then we're going to divide both sides by 3 to find out that Joseph biked 31 miles. How do we know that's Joseph? Because we set up here, when we find J, that's going to be Joseph's mileage. So he did 31 miles. How much did Claire do? Well, she did 2 times 31 minus 14. This is Claire. Because we said whatever Joseph did, double it, take away 14. So that's going to be 62 minus 14, and that's going to be 48. So Claire did 48 miles. And again, this is my answer, and I want to maybe really quickly add up those two numbers at the end to make sure that they actually add up to what they're supposed to. All right, that's it for this video, and we'll see you next time.